Alright, so Prince William has reportedly been on a quiet warpath behind the walls of Windsor, and according to sources, the real story isn't about the person he's said to have pushed out at all. It's about what that removal supposedly exposed regarding how this family operates once the cameras stop rolling. Freddy Parker Bowles, Camilla's grandson, has allegedly been cut off from royal life entirely, and insiders suggest the manner of it says more about William's future reign than any palace statement ever could. The detail nobody's discussing, it's claimed, is that Princess Anne is said to have witnessed part of it from a window, and that her response was reportedly a single silent nod that longtime staff apparently read instantly as approval. If that account is accurate, this stops being ordinary family drama and starts looking like something closer to a quiet reset of the rules. None of this, to be clear, has been confirmed by the palace. Before we get into the mess that supposedly led here, if you're into royal analysis that digs past the press releases, hit subscribe. Okay, let's get into it. So the claim is that Freddy Parker Bowles is gone, not paused, not cooling off, not welcomed back after a polite apology, but reportedly removed for good. And what makes the story land, insiders suggest, is that William didn't act in a flash of temper. He's said to have made the call weeks earlier, sat on it, let things accumulate, and then delivered it in a small private room with only 3 people present. No advisors, no witnesses who could later claim he'd lost control. Just William, Camilla, and Freddy, according to the account. That kind of composure, if true, tells you more than any shouting match ever could. This wasn't rage, sources suggest, it was calculated. And the reason it supposedly matters stretches far beyond one teenager. Allegedly, Freddy had been pushing for access he was never offered, speaking dismissively about William's wife behind closed doors, and letting slip private family details that reportedly put the institution at risk. William is said to have watched quietly for months before saying a word. Then the story goes, he called the young man into that room, and what he reportedly said left everyone who later heard about it stunned. Camilla, by this account, sat there unable to shield her own grandson. None of these private exchanges have been verified, and no quotes here should be taken as documented fact. To understand it, you have to back up, because insiders suggest the Freddy situation didn't happen in isolation. William has reportedly been working through what he views as risks to the institution, and the pattern allegedly started closer to the throne, with Andrew. Here the plain facts matter. Andrew stepped back from public duties years ago, and he no longer uses his HRH style in an official capacity. Around all of that, sources claim Andrew had been quietly lobbying to recover standing, and William reportedly made clear to his father that no further chances were on the table. What supposedly struck aides was how calm he was about it. One is said to have remarked that it was the moment she understood who William really was underneath the polished image. That characterization again is unverified. With Andrew reportedly handled, attention allegedly turned toward Camilla's side of the family, and this is where Freddy enters. Camilla, sources suggest, had been quietly hoping to secure her grandson a ceremonial place at a regimental event, the kind of thing usually reserved for working royals. She wanted him to have something real, something official, insiders claim, a foothold no one could later strip away. And her son, Tom Parker Bowles, is said to have had his own reasons for encouraging it from the background. For years, according to the account, Tom had privately expressed frustration that his mother's position had never translated into anything for him, and reportedly told Freddy more than once, half joking but not really, that the family owed them more than they'd ever received. It's claimed he coached his son on how to raise the request directly with senior household staff rather than wait to be invited. If accurate, that was the first mistake, and a large one, because the moment Freddy allegedly made that move, his name landed on William's radar. William, sources suggest, said nothing publicly and simply had someone start paying attention. And Freddy, apparently unaware, reportedly made it worse. Weeks later, according to the account, he sat for an interview with a small lifestyle magazine and mentioned a private Windsor dinner casually, describing William as a little stiff and questioning whether he'd make a fine king. Tom is said to have encouraged the interview, telling him visibility never hurt. William's office reportedly flagged it within hours. To William, insiders claim the words themselves mattered less than what they revealed, that Freddy allegedly saw the family as material for his own profile rather than something to protect. None of these remarks have been independently confirmed. Then it reportedly got worse than a careless interview. Freddy had allegedly been telling classmates he knew private things about the family, and one supposed detail concerned Charles's health. Here, the plain fact is simply that the king's health has been the subject of public reporting in the past year. The claim that a private detail spread through a schoolyard and reached a journalist before staff quietly contained it is exactly that, a claim, unverified and not confirmed by the palace. But if it happened as sources suggest, that's the point where Freddy allegedly shifted in William's mind from an image problem into something treated as a security concern. Then came the messages, and this is where the account says everything tipped. Freddy had reportedly been bragging to friends, calling Windsor basically his second home. joking about getting mates invited to a polo event, asking staff to bend rules because of who his grandmother was. Those messages, it's claimed, hadn't leaked publicly. William is said to have read them himself, and what reportedly unsettled him was how closely they echoed something Tom Parker Bowles had allegedly joked a year earlier, that the family ought to charge people for access. Freddy, by this account, wasn't even speaking for himself. He was echoing his father. That, sources suggest, was the moment the decision was privately made. Nobody else knew yet. And here's what allegedly makes it more complicated. Camilla, according to insiders, wasn't simply aware of Freddy's behavior. She'd reportedly been quietly encouraging it. For years, the claim goes, she'd nudged him closer to belonging because his acceptance supposedly proved that her own long fight for legitimacy had held, that it had passed to her blood and become permanent. When Freddy pushed for that regimental seat, it was reportedly Camilla who told him to ask and never wait to be offered, handing him, in effect, her own playbook. This is speculation about a private motive, and it should be read that way. But Camilla, sources suggest, started catching whispers of her own. A lady-in-waiting is said to have overheard talk of tidying guest lists going forward. Camilla reportedly said nothing aloud, but began quietly putting distance between herself and Freddy in public. She's even said to have tested the waters once at dinner, asking William what he thought about keeping family close, even the messier branches. His reported reply was a single line, "Family is not the same as liability." That quote is unverified. She allegedly never raised it again. Then, according to the account, the worst of it, Freddy was reportedly overheard mocking Catherine in front of friends, someone supposedly capturing it on a phone. He's alleged to have said she was playing dress-up as a future queen and would never truly be one of them, mimicking her voice, calling her coached and hollow. The recording, it's claimed, spread through a group chat and then beyond, surfacing just 2 days before a major joint engagement where William and Catherine were due to appear together. To William, sources suggest this was no longer about access or clout. It reportedly read as a direct attack on his wife at the worst possible moment. Every word of that alleged recording remains unverified and uncorroborated by any named source. And here, insiders claim, is what made Camilla's silence unforgivable in William's eyes. She'd supposedly heard about the comments before they leaked and said nothing. And part of her, the speculation goes, a part never spoken aloud, wasn't entirely sorry to hear them after years of reportedly watching Catherine outshine her while her own position quietly receded. That is guesswork about a private feeling, and it can't be confirmed. By the time the recording surfaced, William's decision had reportedly already been made, but that supposedly changed the temperature of it. What had been institutional allegedly became personal, and so sources suggest the freeze-out began, and it was methodical. The first cut was reportedly quiet, Freddy's name simply absent from the guest list for a private Windsor reception, no announcement, no call. He's said to have learned of it from a relative who noticed the omission. Then a second event he'd already been confirmed for was reportedly rescaled. A curt note explaining his attendance would no longer be required. Staff were allegedly told, with no explanation, to remove him from the family thread used to coordinate Windsor weekends. He reportedly discovered that one only when he tried to RSVP and found the access gone. Confused, Freddy is said to have called his mother, who had no answer, and then his father, who reportedly wasn't surprised at all. Tom allegedly told him it was simply what they do and urged him to fight rather than be ground down. Freddy, by this account, sat with that a long moment, unsure exactly what his father meant, but something in him reportedly decided he wouldn't take it quietly. So the story goes, he showed up uninvited to a Windsor Park charity walk and stood at the crowd's edge. William supposedly saw him and his expression went still. But nothing happened there, insiders claim. What reportedly struck Freddy harder than any confrontation was that no one would look at him, not one relative, not one staffer, and not even his grandmother, whose eyes allegedly stayed fixed elsewhere. He's said to have fled before it ended, texting a friend that night asking what exactly he'd done, because no one would say it to his face. No one reportedly answered. His mother, according to the account, tried everything left to her, attempting twice to arrange a private conversation between Freddy and William, hoping a face-to-face apology might still land. Both requests were reportedly declined, always through intermediaries. Staff who watched, sources suggest, read it plainly. William wasn't avoiding a conversation because he was busy, but because he reportedly didn't trust himself not to soften if he sat across from the young man. So the silence allegedly continued, total, until there was nothing left to be shut out of. Then came the final cut. During a Windsor family weekend, Freddy reportedly posted Instagram stories from a private area of the estate, one supposedly showing a blurred hallway with security visible in the background. It was deleted within a minute, the account says, but not before it was screenshotted. William's security team, sources suggest, treated it not as a teenage slip, but as a genuine operational lapse, and it reportedly handed William a clean, pointable reason for what had already been decided weeks earlier. The leak, insiders claim, didn't cause the outcome, it just accelerated it. What reportedly came next happened in a small private sitting room, the kind used for ordinary family talk, which allegedly made it feel more personal, not less. 3 people only: William, Camilla and Freddy. William, by this account, never raised his voice. He reportedly told Freddy flatly that his access to Windsor was finished, his place at gatherings finished, any future royal involvement finished, effective immediately, using the word permanently. And then sources suggest he made it personal, telling him he didn't get to mock his wife and call himself family. Freddy is said to have looked past him to his grandmother, asking if this was her decision too. William reportedly cut in before she could answer, saying it was made for the family, not by one person. Camilla, according to the account, said nothing, and her silence supposedly answered louder than words. These quotes are reported and unverified. After Freddy left, Camilla is said to have spoken quietly, telling William she hoped he understood what he'd done to a boy who never asked to be born into this. William reportedly only nodded, as if her pain were a cost already tallied. She absorbed it, sources suggest, the way she'd absorbed everything else, because open conflict with the future king was a fight she reportedly knew she couldn't win. And her silence, insiders speculate, was never only grief. It was guilt for having quietly fed the very behavior that got her grandson cast out. That, again, is speculation about a private state of mind. And somewhere else in the house, according to the account, someone had reportedly seen more than anyone realized. Anne, it's claimed, was at Windsor that weekend and watched from a window as Freddy left the estate alone. No staff walking him out, no car sent, just an ordinary taxi from the gatehouse. She didn't move or call out, sources suggest. She simply watched him go. Days later, at a family engagement, when family matters came up in passing, Anne reportedly gave a small nod, barely a movement. That long-time staff apparently recognized instantly, because they'd allegedly seen it decades earlier when someone else had been quietly pushed to the edges. That nod, they claim, meant approval. Here, the plainer picture is fair to state directly. Anne is widely regarded on the public record as one of the hardest working members of the family, known for duty over spectacle. The interpretation layered onto that nod, that she saw William's reported action not as ruthlessness, but as the system finally working, is insiders' reading, not confirmed fact. That night, according to the account, Anne is said to have called William to tell him she was proud, that he'd done what needed doing without flinching. William reportedly didn't say much back. That exchange is unverified. And the striking thing when you step back is what this supposedly signals about the reign to come. If the account holds, William isn't simply clearing house. He's reportedly drawing a line that access to this family for those on the periphery isn't a birthright to be demanded because your grandmother married the king. It's conditional. And the suggestion that Anne, of all people, watched that taxi pull away and gave her quiet nod is offered by insiders as the clearest sign of where things are heading. Whether any of it happened precisely this way remains unconfirmed by the palace, but as a story about what this family may be becoming, that's the question worth sitting with. So what do you think William is really protecting here, and where does a line like this end? Tell me in the comments.